everybody. It's 5:02 in the morning. We just got off of our Lux bus, which was, I thought, pretty fine. And now we're in Vilnius, Lithuania, starting our week here.
We made it in early this morning, like Chrissy mentioned, and got another few hours of sleep. And now we're quickly walking off to a walking tour that'll kind of show us around Old Town here and other places, I'm sure. So, all right, Vilnius, show us what you got. Small republic of Vilnius, and these are the rules to be here. You have to smile, you have to take it slow, you have to continue to do art, and if you don't do any of those things, you get thrown into the river, according to the laws here. So behind me is one of the solitary cells where they would actually put prisoners in here, and the bottom was completely filled with the ice cold water from the outside. All they would have in here is to stand on is this small circular plate to balance on, otherwise they'd fall in. Behind me is the exercise courtyard that the KGB would put their prisoners into to have them get some physical activity, I guess. They're tiny, tiny rooms. Not really much rooms at all, except for pretty much the size of what they sleep in the prisons. We just got out of the Occupation Museum / ex-KGB building. Again, it's just kind of reinforcing the atrocities of the USSR and also Germany before them. Lithuania was a part of the initial agreements when Germany and USSR were working together, and then Germany, of course, betraying the USSR, then took back over this area, and then eventually losing it again to Russia, and then Russia then occupying them for 50 years.
After World War II, when the USSR came back and took over, a lot of the youth didn't want to become part of the USSR, wanted to keep their Lithuanian heritage, so they hid in the woods, and they thought that the US and England would save them, and they never did. Most of those people were just executed as soon as they were found. It's just tragic.
Yeah, the other odd thing is that USSR would transport people out of Lithuania to not have them exist in the country anymore, only to bring them to labor areas inside the USSR to work on either railroadways or other various projects. But then they eventually were just able to start becoming a part of society in those particular towns that they were next to. So it was very strange. Like, a majority of them were not prisoners, but just work slaves for various projects, and then eventually just got encapsulated into the society of Russia.
This is a monument for all the people that were exiled. So a lot of people and their families and their children were all exiled. And so this is a monument outside the museum for them that is still celebrated today, and flowers are left today because of that. Good morning and happy Sunday. The rain has finally stopped. We have a beautiful bright blue sky. It is still cold. It's like 45 degrees Fahrenheit, which is fine. Mike and I prefer cold weather over hot weather any day. There's a Lutheran church here in Lithuania, and I was raised Lutheran. There's a 9:30 international service in English, so I'm gonna go enjoy that. Finished the Lutheran service. Lutheran services are the same regardless of what country you're in, which is fun. Everyone was very nice. There was only 10 people. There are 20,000 practicing Lutherans in Lithuania, so it's not actually a very big compared to the amount of people. But it was very nice and homey feeling. The pastor is actually a traveling pastor, so there's not enough pastors in Lithuania. And so he was actually from Chicago, and he stays here for about 6 months, and then a new pastor comes. To give you an idea of what's around me, we have some crazy wall art. Wall art is all over here which is really fun to see. And then behind me, sorry, it's gonna get dark, is a market hall. So I'm at the Hall of Market right now getting some lunch, and this market is a true market. It's not some touristy trap. Kind of fun to be with the regular people of Lithuania. Behind me is the Gate of Dawn. It's one of the only gates that's remaining here in Vilnius. The reason it was not destroyed by the Russians is that inside is a picture of Mary, but Mary does not have baby Jesus with her. And that is definitely a Russian Orthodox thing. And so when the Russians came and destroyed all the other gates, they superstitiously thought that they should not destroy this one because it was their Mary. We're at the Church of Casimir. Casimir is the patron of Lithuania. He is their saint. The church was built in, I want to say, 1706, and it took 700 men to pull the cornerstone stone here. It was rebuilt after World War I, and then after World War II it was renovated, and inside it's very beautiful, some really pretty marble work. We're currently outside of St. Anne's Church. It was built in the 1500s, one of the first Gothic churches. And then right behind it is St. Francis. And so the legend that our tour guides told us is that first St. Anne's was built, and then the son-in-law of the builder said, hey, I can do better, and he built St. Francis. So we're about to go in and see what all the fuss is about. We're inside one of the national museums, and to give you a little bit of history on Lithuania, their first king and their only king was King Magnus in 1253. He was converted to Christianity at that time, but then once he died, everybody went back to paganism. And it wasn't until the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth happened that the community actually became Lutheran and Catholic. And so there is a lot of beautiful crosses and wood art that they have done to celebrate their religion.
Amazingly enough, we have just found the Goblet of Fire.
So this city does a really good job of mixing old architecture and new. And one of the ways to figure that out is just by looking at the buses. So you have a bus here, I don't know, 1960s, and then you have a bus right after it, which obviously is from the last, 10 years. Hello, it's a nice, sunny, beautiful Monday morning, and we are going to Trakai Castle, which is a day trip from Vilnius. It's a castle that is situated on an island. It'll be a good afternoon exploration for us. Not sure what that's about, but okay. We got the castle behind us. After we got off the train, we did a probably 30-minute walk through the town. If I was you coming back, I would take a bus all the way here and then walk back in the future, but we didn't know. This area was originally established in about the 1300s, and it was made specifically because of this area behind us and the castle being built. The area is also very much known for its Tatar population, So when the Mongolians were defeated in this area, the Lithuanians asked some of them to stay and basically protect them. And they were allowed to have religious freedom. They didn't have to convert to Christianity. And so a lot of them actually stayed specifically in this town. And so you'll see a lot of the buildings are specific wood, A-frame location, and that's just what they lived in at that time. This castle was heavily reconstructed after World War II, and you can tell because of the different materials they used. So you have the original stonework versus the added-on brickwork.
We just completed walking through Trakai Castle, and that was unimpressive. I mean, the building and the castle itself, the renovation of it back in the 60s or 70s, it's really nice castle. There's nothing in there. There's historical pieces from all sorts of different eras to kind of explain general, what people use for jewelry or clothing. Or
there's so much more potential they could do with that building than what they've done.
Yeah, but toilets are damn nice.
Best toilets we've ever had. This is that dog's street. He claims it. That's what he does. Alright, so after we went to the castle, we went into St. Virgin Mary's Church. There was an organ player practicing, which was kind of fun. We walked back through town and we just missed our train. And so we're at the bus station and it's just kind of chaotic. Like there's nothing that really tells you anything, and yet there's information everywhere. And so Mike went up to the station master, asked, how do we get back to Vilnius? And they're like, oh, it'll be number 4. And we're like, okay, cool. This, what I would call an airport shuttle, shows up at our spot. We get into this little shuttle and everybody is seated in the middle, and there's open seats in the windows, but no one's moving over. We're the last people to get in. So we walk all the way to the back of the shuttle. There's a huge suitcase we have to walk over. And Mike kind of smushes into the corner. I smush next to him, and then there's this man next to me who I think owns the suitcase. And we got to Vilnius, which it worked out just fine. We all got off. It was a very cold day from standing outside so much, so it's nice to come home to a nice warm place.